First we're going to hear from Sharonne Salaam, who's the mother of Yusef Salaam, one of the Central Park Five.
Well, many of you kind of know my story. At least you know bits and pieces of it, because really, all of this went on for so many years, since 1989. And I know you say, well, there was a movie about it, but the movie only lasted an hour, and if you count the number of hours from 1989 to now, all of that could not have been in one movie. You cannot begin to understand this type of an experience unless you're really going through it day by day by day. Because it takes a moment for you to figure out how to even get up in the morning to be able to go out into the day. Because you're bombarded by all kinds of negative impressions of you, of your family, of your community. You're also being picked on within your community by people who look at you and they wonder, well, why did you do this to us? Why did your son do this? Why did those boys get together and do this? None of them know me. None of them know my family. None of them know my history. None of them know the boys who supposedly got together to do this. And none of them were willing on a certain level to really focus and hear what we had to say, because they had been brainwashed. And I don't know if that's the right word for it, brainwashing. It's almost a part of what we would call, or has been called, like the Stockholm Syndrome. You hear stuff long enough and you begin to believe it yourself. When you wake up in our communities of color, most of the time there's a preconceived notion out there in the world of who we are and how people are supposed to treat us. So that Stockholm Syndrome that I mentioned is one that's already engraved in your psyche. So it's not easy for you to say, wow, did they really do this? Are we really talking about the same people? Most of the time, it's real easy for you to believe, yes, they did this, because you have been conditioned over many, many years to believe that these are the types of things that Black people do, that Latino people do. This is very common for us, so it's not unusual. Think about the time you stopped and you saw a policeman stopping a person on the street of color. Did you say, oh wow, that could be an innocent man? Or did you say to yourself subconsciously, I wonder what did he do? You weren't a witness to anything being done, but you're wondering because you've always and already been conditioned to believe and to accept that the probability of him doing something is tremendous, and that tremendousness is more so than the probability of him being innocent. But one of the other things you've been conditioned to accept is the fact that when these things happen, it's a mistake by one individual person, or 2 or 3 people, who with good intentions made this horrific error, and you and your family were impacted. You and your family were torn apart. Nothing is ever done for the most part to none of these people who do these awful things to you. We have given many of these people a get-free card so that they are free to go and do all kinds of things without ever being punished, being judged, or being held accountable for their actions. And one of the things that we need to do in our communities is to figure out how they can be held accountable. Because when I look in the newspapers and on the TVs, I see a lot of people who are coming out of jails who have been wrongfully convicted of crimes they did not do. In many cases, evidence was withheld. Some cases, witnesses were tampered with and forced into convicting and helping to convict people who were innocent. There needs to be within our system of checks and balances the same type of morality that exists for people on lower levels. For instance, the Board of Education has a balance system that they've put into place so that they can get rid of ineffective teachers. What checks and balance system is there in effect to get rid of ineffective policemen and the policing industry out there that's supposed to be there to protect us? We have laws that protect them and give them a certain amount of immunity from prosecution for things that they do. And these laws that we have given them and these services and amenities does not say to any one of them, let me change this code of conduct. Let me change this behavior. Not one. We have to make sure that those people who we pay, and we do pay, oftentimes they will say to us, no, you're on welfare, you're not paying. You still, when you go buy something from the store, you still paying taxes. You still paying your car fares to get from point A to point B, no matter where your money is coming from, so you are paying. Don't fall victim that you are not a law-abiding, upstanding citizen because you are not rich. We pay in our pennies and our nickels and our dimes every day for the justice that we do not receive as citizens of this country. And it's time for us to take back the America that our forefathers fought for, that our forefathers built. My people came here on slave ships. They didn't come in through Ellis Island. But when they got here on the slave plantations, they worked. They took the stumps out of the grounds to clear the land. They picked the cotton. They rowed the boats, and they made it possible for us to be in a situation where we are today. They require and demand justice for themselves and for me, the daughter of the slaver. And when I say slaver, I give some kind of acknowledgement to the whiteness in me, because most of us are part of our black people who came on the slave ships and those white people who brought us here. We were victimized in all kinds of ways. But it's now time, just like Denmark Vesey stood up to stand up for justice. We have got to stand up and make our voices heard. They often say if you shout fire in the wilderness, does anybody hear you? No one may hear you but the trees hear. When we shout, we have to make sure we are heard. We have to make sure that there are people who are willing to respond to our needs and our concerns. This is why we're here, because we have a beef with the system that we need corrected. And we need it corrected so that certain things are in place that offer protections to those people who are wrongfully convicted, those families of the wrongfully convicted. In some states, you know, you can come out from being wrongfully convicted with the shirt on your back and car fare. No housing programs, no food stamps, just a shirt on your back. And move on, get over it. Thank you. Who pays for the fact that you've been 25 years on death row? Who pays for the fact that you've been in solitary confinement for 5 years, 10 years, all the time you've been in there? Who pays for that? You've been victimized twice by the wrongful conviction. Now you've been victimized again by coming out. We must stand up for justice. And it's not just us, but it's all of those people who've been wrongfully convicted, including us. When I look out into this room, I see some people who look like me and some people who don't. But there are black people who are wrongfully convicted, white people who are wrongfully convicted, and there are going to be more of us unless we stand together with one single voice that's crying out justice. Justice for all of us.
Thank you, Sharonne.